Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Cheryl Beal, and I'm a Labor Relations Officer with the Manitoba Association of Healthcare Professionals. And today I'd like to go through with you some of the changes in our new collective agreements for our Central Table members. There's some really important new definitions and understandings in the collective agreement that are important for you to know so that you can navigate successfully the new language and terms of the collective agreements. So let's dive in. First off, we have some new definitions under the Article 2 of our collective agreement. Employer organization. An employer organization is established for the sole purpose of collective bargaining pursuant to the Health Sector Bargaining Review Act. So what that means is we have 3 different collective agreements with 3 different employer organizations: Northern Health Region Employer Organization, Shared Health Employers Organization, and the Winnipeg Churchill Health Employers Organization. These 3 employer organizations are also known as bargaining units. Next, we have employers. So employers differ from employer organizations. And I'm going to show you shortly on a new Schedule C exactly what this looks like. Additionally, the definition of site under the new collective agreement is very different from what you're going to have been used to under the terms of your old agreement. So I'm going to scroll down and go through Schedule C. Now, if you've had a chance to look at the new collective agreements, you're going to notice that there are currently no schedules or appendices contained in the draft that you've been provided. And the reason for that is that we are still finalizing those with the employer. But when you do receive the final version, you're going to see attached what is called Schedule C at the back of the collective agreement. And this dives into an explanation of how these new employer organizations, employers, and site lists are distributed. So for example, our first employer organization or bargaining unit that we're referencing here is the Northern Health Region Employers Organization. Now, under the NHREO, there is only one employer, and that is the Northern Region Health Authority Direct Operations. However, there are a number of different sites under that employer. For example, Flin Flon or the Paw Health Complex. But again, number of different sites, only one employer. This isn't the case when we get into both the Shared Health Employer Organization or the Winnipeg Churchill Employer Organization collective agreements. Let's scroll down and see. So under the Shared Health Employer Organization, there is a Shared Health Direct Operations employer. And under that employer, we have a number of different sites. For example, Breast Health Center, Crisis Response, Diagnostic Services. Now, sites such as Diagnostic Services and Emergency Response Services, this is a big change for our members because previously these services fell under different work sites. So for example, you'd have Diagnostic Services at Health Science Center and then at the Victoria Hospital, and then you'd have a separate agreement for Diagnostic Services rurally. Same with EMS, you had different sites per the regions in the province. So now, under this new collective agreements, our diagnostic services, lab, DI, are all under a single site. Same with our emergency response services. They are all under a single site. And this becomes vitally important when you're reading and interpreting the collective agreement and referencing a term like site. I'll get into that a little further in just one second. You can see Health Sciences Center. Other than those who work under diagnostic services, Health Sciences Center is its own site under the Shared Health Direct Operations employer. MATC, its own site under Shared Health. We have the Mental Health and Addictions Program with a number of different work sites and programs listed here who fall under a single site. And again, their employer is the Shared Health Direct Operations. Now you'll see both under Shared Health and under the WRHA, you're going to see these employers, different employers that have a star next to them. These identify non-transferred employers, non-transferred sites. So while they fall under the overview or oversight of Shared Health, they haven't handed over the keys to Shared Health. They're still a separate employer. So for example, Cancer Care, separate employer, Eden Mental Health and Rehab Center for Children. You'll see a similar list under the Winnipeg Churchill Health Region Employer Organization. Again, we have our WRHA Direct Operations. And you'll see there is a mental health and addictions program under the WRHA as well. Primary care, public health, corporate and regional programs. These are all sites under the WRHA Direct Operations. You're also going to see a number of different employers who fall under the umbrella of the WRHA and fall under the collective agreement of the Winnipeg Churchill Employer Organization. But again, they haven't handed over the keys to the WRHA. And those are listed here. You'll note our community health agencies, for example, fall under this category. Clinic, Mount Carmel, Nine Circles, Norwest. But also the various hospitals. Other than those, again, those members who work in diagnostic services, if you're at a community hospital and you work in diagnostic services, your site is diagnostic services, your employer is shared health direct operations. However, if you are in a different occupation at a community hospital, your employer is either, I'll go up again, is either Winnipeg Churchill direct operations for these ones, or you may fall at a hospital, you may work within a hospital who hasn't handed over the keys to the WRHA, and they may be their own employer and own site. So I encourage you, when you get the copy of this, to go into the back of the collective agreement and really look and identify which site do I fall under, which employer do I fall under, and certainly make sure that you're referencing the correct bargaining unit, employer organization, and therefore the correct collective agreement. Okay, moving on. To add further clarity, we have some different definitions, again, that are going to be important for you to know. So base location differs from work site, from employer, from site, because it means the location is determined by the employer where the employee is based out of for the purpose of service delivery and mileage calculations. And employees absolutely should be advised of their base location at the time of commencement of employment. So when you're hired, you should be told what your base location is, and at the time of any subsequent voluntary change. So that's to say that the employer can't just suddenly decide, well, tomorrow your base location is going to be out of this spot instead of where you've been currently working, so we can save mileage. That can't happen. Your base location is your base location, and you can change it voluntarily by applying for a different position, or if your employer is asking you to move, you can agree to that. I would talk to us at MAHCP first before agreeing to that, but that's what's meant by voluntary change. And of course, a copy of your letter of offer with your base location should always be in your employee personnel file, which you are able to review at any time by booking an appointment with your human resources department. Now, worksite has an even different meaning. Worksite is different than site. It means the location is determined by the employer to where the employee is assigned to perform work for the purpose of service delivery provision. So we could have, let's say, our home care community programs. Perhaps their base location is Fort Garry Access. However, they have a number of different work sites that they may travel to as part of their role in their job, including client homes could be considered work sites. So there you can see there's reason for some of these different definitions, and these definitions are all contained in the language of the collective agreement, which is why it's important to know them. Now, concurrent employment. Concurrent employment means an employee who holds more than one position with the same employer. So you have to reference the definition of employer that was on the side there in Schedule C. For greater certainty, concurrent employment shall not apply to an employee who holds more than one position with different employers. So, same employer, for example, you could be a respiratory therapist who holds a position under two different WRHA direct operation sites. So if I scroll back up here, let's say you're an RT both at the Grace and at the Victoria Hospital. Both those sites fall under one employer, the Winnipeg Churchill Region Health Authority. And so that would be considered concurrent employment. Now, in a future video, we're going to get talking about how your seniority would be applied now that you would be under the same employer for both those positions. We'll talk about that again another time. But for right now, for the purpose of concurrent employment, it means that you have two positions under the same employer. However, let's say you held a respiratory therapy position at the Vic and also at St. Boniface Hospital. St. Boniface Hospital is a separate employer now. And so that would not be concurrent employment, and your seniority would be applied differently. Again, tune into the next video. Definition of transfer. Transfer is going to mean a change by an employee from one position to another position with the same salary range and, again, the same employer. You can start to see why these definitions are so important. Lastly, I want to take a second to talk about continuous service. Now, continuous service and this exact definition have been in our collective agreements since the 2010-2014 round of collective bargaining. But again, this is information that not all members are aware of, and it becomes really, really vitally important. So length of employment with an employer, again, let's make sure we're talking employer, shall mean the period of time since an employee last became a full-time or part-time employee in a permanent or term position for the purpose of calculating all entitlements pursuant to this agreement. Now, what a lot of people don't recognize is length of employment means the time from when you last became a permanent or term, part-time or full-time employee. No length of casual service goes towards somebody's continuous service. And so what a lot of members don't realize is if, let's say they end a term position and they aren't successful in getting another term position or in bridging to a permanent position, if they go down to casual status, that is a break in service. That means their continuous service date stops. And when they subsequently become a term or permanent position, that's going to start from zero again. And so it's really important to know that if you're stopping a permanent or term position and you're going down to casual for any reason, that you understand that as a break in service, your seniority, your income protection, your vacation, everything's going to start from scratch again. So that's just a really important concept that we wanted you to know. Lastly, for those of you who may be new to navigating the collective agreement, just going to quickly go over the different parts of the collective agreement. So you'll notice at the front, there's a preamble. It talks about the purpose and the parties involved in the collective agreement. Then you'll find a table of contents. A change we've made to this round of bargaining and the table of contents for these collective agreements is that we've hyperlinked them. So hopefully you find that easier to navigate in the PDF copies you've been provided. Then we have the main body, or what we call the articles of the collective agreement. And those are the main rules or agreements between the parties that govern workplace practices. In the back, you're going to find the memorandums of understanding. Now, the memorandums of understanding are a formal signed agreement that serves as an addendum to the collective agreement main body. And an MOU usually addresses a significant issue that emerged during the term of the agreement, or it's an issue where either party wants to reserve the right to be able to stop that in the middle of a term of a collective agreement. So you'll find a number of memorandums of understanding in the back of the collective agreement. Of note, memorandums, I think it's 1 through 33 or 1 through 34. Memorandums 1 through 34 are consistent across the Northern Shared Health and WRHA collective agreements. They are the same language in all three. And then it's after a memorandum of understanding 34, it's after that that you get the specific memorandums for that specific collective agreement. And lastly, as mentioned earlier, you're going to find eventually your schedules and appendices at the very end of the collective agreement, which will talk about things like academic allowances and different definitions and the like. Now, Schedule A is all of the wage rate scales. As you're aware, this collective agreement spans from pre-2018 all the way to 2024. And so you can imagine how large, now that we've amalgamated these collective agreements, the previous collective agreements together, you can imagine how large those wage scales are. And they're in the hundreds of pages. For that reason, you're going to continue to find them as a separate document on our website when they're available. And they will not be included in this round of bargaining in the actual body of the, or in the collective agreement documents, but they will be available on the website for you to review. And hopefully in subsequent years, they've shrunk and we can include them as we normally would in the back of the collective agreement. So again, thank you for joining me. I hope this information has been helpful for you. Again, look forward to future videos where we talk about the management of seniority post Health Sector Bargaining Unit Review Act, and tune in when you can. Thanks very much. Take care.